Hey all gardeners. It's worth having a talk about nurseries in the Salt Lake Valley because I visited 6 of them today and it's kind of what I expected, but let me give you guys some, I don't know what you want to call it, professional or industry secrets based on what I found by spending literally 6 hours today driving around to different nurseries. Well, let's see. My favorites. Well, I think the two that are getting a big win from me, although they do have their limitations, are going to be 42nd Street Greenhouse and Western Gardens. I just really love how I'm treated at both places, and also the reason, like, they've got very reasonable prices, and so what they do have in stock, they're very kind on. 42nd Street Greenhouse is a wonderful place to find annuals, and they also carry like 110 different varieties of tomatoes, so it's pretty sweet. I love them. You're going to find all your kind of regular annuals, so like snapdragons, marigolds, zinnias, ageratum, you know, all the flower bed stuff, salvias, things like that. They do carry some like peonies and roses, but mostly they focus on annuals, and their prices are phenomenal. And they recently took new ownership. This young couple took over the business and are being guided by the gal who ran the business for 40 years, so that's great. Love 42nd Street Greenhouse. I really love Western Gardens. The one downtown is the one that I go to, and I know that they're probably going to be on their way out sometime soon, which is unfortunate, really. But they have kept extremely modest, you know, in terms of like having competitive pricing for all of their plants and having a good selection of things. I also really love a couple of the specialized tools that they carry, and while they can't be especially competitive on some tools, they are not as bad as other places that I'm going to discuss. Millcreek Gardens. Yeah, I will say that Glover's is still, oh my gosh, it was so packed today, but I mean, what do you expect? It's like Mother's Day weekend. Glover's is still going to be one of your best places to go, just for the like sheer variety of things that you're going to find there. And I think they do their best to keep their prices modest. I was really happy to see them kind of come back down on price on some of the little like 2-inch vegetables and things like that. Last year they were trying to gouge the price on those, and I think they kind of realized that wasn't going to work out very well and came back down on the price. I was just at Millcreek Gardens, and for those same 2-inch pots, which I know because I used to work at a nursery, they come from a grower about an hour north, and they're uber duper cheap. We used to sell them for like 79 cents or like $1 a cup, which is like probably way too low. But Western Gardens and Glover's are both selling them for like $1.99 a cup, which is totally reasonable because they're probably paying the growers $1 a cup now. But Millcreek Gardens, I don't know if the gal was certain on price or not, but they want like $3.99 or $4.99 for the 2-inch cups that, like, I know the nursery only spent $1 a piece on, and it drives me crazy. Like, I have a really hard time when it comes to business ethics, and I love supporting small businesses, and will 110% do it. And so it's really not all about price to me, but it's like a mix of how I'm treated at the nursery and how I think they're ethically going about like keeping the price modest and accessible for people. I was happy to see some shade perennials that I've really been looking for in smaller size containers at Millcreek Gardens. And I would say that, like, I love their native plant selection, and I love their tree selection is pretty good, and they're pretty modest on the price of trees. But then there's other things that are getting absolutely out of hand. Like, I saw some Felco pruners there that, like, I've been buying my Felcos online just because of the cost difference, and I hate that. I'd rather buy it from like a local nursery. But Western Gardens sells the Felco 6s that I use for like $80, and I was explained that like they basically have to pay a higher rate because they're not buying in such large quantity like I'm able to get online. But for those same Felco pruners that Western Gardens is selling for $80 that you can buy online for like $63, Millcreek Gardens wants $110 for them. And like things like that, just like price gouging in general, drives me crazy. So I just wanted to impart on you guys the best place to go for annuals is going to be 42nd Street Greenhouse, and the best place to go for perennials, like if you're trying to get drought tolerant perennials, is absolutely hands down Deseret Perennial Nursery. It's like clear out by the airport, but they are amazing there. Their selection's amazing. They grow a lot of their own plants. They're wonderful. Another place that's definitely worth a stop in, they're still kind of growing, which is really funny because their name is Growing Empire. You'll find those guys on 7th East on Empire Avenue. That's like about 34 or 3500 South. They also have, the woman who runs it is very adept and knowledgeable with perennials, especially perennials that do really well in our climate. And they grow a lot of their own perennials. I first met that lady at Farmer's Market, and she was wonderful. So yeah, Growing Empire and Deseret Perennial Nursery are my favorite places to shop for perennials. The next in line is going to be Glover's, just because they actually have the variety and the selection that you'd be wanting to look for. I'm always really overwhelmed when I try to shop for perennials at Millcreek Gardens. It's just like the way that their tables are set up, it's like I don't even want to. And like pretty much the only thing that I bother going to Millcreek Gardens for anymore is like bulbs, bulk seeds, and this hoary, which they sell for $24.99, which is actually comparable to like online prices and all that good jazz. It's so funny to me how variable pricing can be for like the same products at these different nurseries. I mean, take for example, I love supporting Western Gardens, but when it comes to their like bags of potting soil and like Soil Pep and Harvest Supreme, like all their G&B organic stuff, I go out of my way to go to IFA because like they sell a bag of Harvest Supreme for $8.99 while Western Gardens wants $12.99. And I don't know, I don't think if you only needed like 1 or 2 bags, it probably would be worth supporting Western Gardens. They need the help, and they're wonderful people. But it's just so funny to me like how much of a difference you can find different places. And yeah, when I see situations like I just saw at Millcreek Gardens where they're charging $110 for a pair of pruners that I can buy online for almost half as much, and Western Gardens is offering for $30 cheaper, which is like significant. I mean, we're talking like 20% here. It actually kind of disgusts me. And I've worked retail, I've priced things. I completely support the basic models of things. You know, you buy something and you mark it up 100% and you sell it. Like that's literally the business model. But when the markup gets to 300 or 400% of what you purchased it for, that's when it goes into like those ethical grounds that just disgust me, that I just can't support. And so like, oh man, it's a lot to like run all over town and find out who has the best things, but it's worth it. Last one I'll mention is Lambert Growers on Redwood. So they have a wonderful selection and great pricing. Unfortunately, I couldn't get in the door because now they are like the only nursery I've been to that doesn't allow dogs. So there's that. All right, peace.